What killed most people on this earth is not war or natural disaster, but virus. In the last century, there is a disease called virus, killed 500 million people. In the other way, the virus infection could potentially cause human extinction. A virus is a small parasite that cannot reproduce by itself. But every virus has its very own parasitic host that will help them to duplicate the virus inside body instead of killing them. For example, bat is immune to SARS virus, instead they work along pretty well. HIV is originated from West African gorillas, and the virus does not cause any harm to them. Although most viruses could be deadly to human, some viruses known as bacteriophages can kill harmful bacteria and provide protection to human. Most viruses have either RNA or DNA as their genetic material. DNA is a double-stranded molecule consisting of a long chain of nucleotides, and it is fairly stable in reactivity. RNA usually is a single-strand helix consisting of shorter chains of nucleotides. Compare with DNA, RNA is not stable, more reactive and susceptible to enzyme attack. And the coronavirus that caused the world panic today is also RNA virus. So, what is this new virus? Coronavirus, COVID-19, is from a family of viruses that range from the common cold to more severe illnesses, mostly target and affect mammals' respiratory systems. Including SARS that killed more than 1,500 people since 2002, and the MERS killed more than 850 people since 2012, are from same family. For one, we know that the coronavirus outbreak is not as deadly as the SARS and MERS. Comparing the fatality rate between COVID-19 and SARS or MERS, COVID-19 seemed to be much less severe. However, COVID-19 outbreak is more severe compared to others. In a short time period, the current confirmed cases number is over 1.2 million people since January 22, 2020, and it is still increasing. Unfortunately, today, the World Health Organization declared that the United States is now leading the world in confirmed coronavirus cases, with over 311,000 people, over 8,000 people died, exceeding China and Italy. America has failed to mount a coordinated and decisive response to save itself, regardless the obvious warning signs. Many blames on the president, who spent years sabotaging the government's ability to respond to the current crisis.
A lot of good things are happening. The mortality rate is, in my opinion, way, way down. And that takes a lot of fear out. You know, it's one thing to have it, it's another thing to die.
Many states' governors faced with mounting infections and deaths, they are begging for help, especially in New York.
I look at actions, not words. They're doing the supplies. Here's my question. Where are they? Where are the ventilators? Where are the gowns? Where's the PPEs? Where are the masks? Where are they?
Meanwhile, President Trump has suggested the country ought to get back to work by Easter.
Expected. The hardship will end. It will end soon. Normal life will return. America will again and soon be open for business. Very soon. A lot sooner than 3 or 4 months that somebody was suggesting.
While America is struggling to combat the outbreak, let's see how other countries combat against coronavirus. China. Despite being the source of the coronavirus, China has been able to turn the tide of an infection. China enacted sweeping measures that forced people inside for weeks, banned all forms of public gathering. The central government dispatched total 20,000 doctors and nurses across the city to Wuhan, and built 1,000-bed hospital in 5 days, to dedicate patients who infected to coronavirus. Their effort paid off. Today, China is recovering and started to disinfection the city. United Kingdom. While almost every country is trying to achieve this goal, through instituting quarantine and restricting social gathering, the UK Prime Minister seemed to have different strategy to counter the virus. The government would no longer track and trace the contacts of every suspected case, and only treat severely infected patients. People with symptoms should stay home, and encourage herd immunity. allow enough of those who can survive virus to get infected, and the virus will not have new people to infect. Later the government realized the concept is a massive gamble, and decided to take more drastic steps in containment and isolation strategy. Sadly, Prime Minister Boris Johnson and his top health minister tested positive for the infection on March 27. Philippines. The Philippine government is known as its brutal war on drugs, ruled by President Rodrigo Duterte. To combat the coronavirus, millions of people have been placed on lockdown to halt the spread of COVID-19. But it appears some officers are taking their new powers too far. People who violated the curfew policy were locked inside a rusty metal cage in the city. Despite the lockdown order, many in Manila slum took to the streets to protest a lack of suppliers, and eventually clashed with the local government. Later that night, the president warned for his citizen. Defy the lockdown orders again and the police will shoot you dead.
Shoot them dead.
India. India is the second most populated country in the world, after China with 1.4 billion population. A country with such a large population, it will be totally out of control if the coronavirus breaks out. Therefore, the government dispatched baton-wielding police to beat those who flout the curfew restriction, or who fail to maintain physical distancing, while others have publicly shamed violators by forcing them to do squats, push-ups, crawl or roll around on the streets. Same thing happens in South Africa. As coronavirus cases in Africa rose above 4,000 on Saturday, several countries have taken escalating measures to enforce lockdowns and curfews, in the hopes of preventing the disease from spreading. In this video, a military man is punishing several civilians at ongoing lockdown, and kept beating them. The angry man couldn't take it anymore and fight back. The coronavirus outbreak is first and foremost a human tragedy, affecting millions of people. The stock market crashed, made the second biggest drop in the history, entered a bear market, ending the 11-year bull market that began on March 5, 2009. Including one of the most successful investors in the world, Warren Buffett, suffered up to $70 billion in coronavirus stock losses. With many people panicking about the spread, businesses are seeing a decline in traffic. The airline companies have taken a huge hit, due to more than 100 countries have travel restrictions. With less people traveling, the leisure and hospitality businesses such as casinos, entertainment parks, hotels, restaurants and bars made to their worst month, then began the layoff. As of today, there are over 10 million workers in the United States filed jobless claims in just 2 weeks. Coronavirus will change the world. Work from home will be more commonplace. Lockdown and social distancing are placing pressure on the businesses. The number of people working from home increased dramatically. Many unprepared companies created more resources online to help work from home employees accessible. This drastic change will make us to see that it's hard to make remote work actually work. A boom in virtual reality. VR allows us to have the experiences we want, even if we have to be isolated, quarantined or alone. Maybe that will be how we adapt and stay safe in the next outbreak. Soon we will be able to see a VR program that helped with the socialization and mental health of people who had to self-isolate. Imagine putting on glasses, and suddenly you are in a classroom, or another communal setting, or even a positive psychology intervention. Less communal dining. More cooking or maybe delivery. With restaurants mostly closed and as isolation increases, many people will learn or relearn how to cook over the next weeks. Maybe they will fall back in love with cooking, or perhaps delivery will triumph over everything else. Sit-down restaurants also could close permanently as people frequent them less. It is likely there will be many fewer sit-down restaurants in Europe and the United States. The crisis keeps us contained in our homes, maybe for months. We don't know how long it will last. But crisis moments also present opportunity, and perhaps an evolution of new way to our lifestyles. Last, friendly reminder. Stay home unless it is necessary, wear mask to protect yourself, and help stop coronavirus.